God bless America. Hello, everybody. I am the Talk Radio Protege. This is the Protege program. Thank you for joining me. Hope that you all are having a good week. It's hump day, so we're halfway to the weekend. I'm looking forward to it. I know that you all are as well. But we've got news to talk about before we get there. So here we go. 3 stories for you today. First, coming from ABC News. The headline, Echo of Obamacare. Dems divided over vow to repeal tax law. Now, there's a lot of comparison in this story about, or to the Republicans' vow to repeal Obamacare. You could say that the vow to repeal Obamacare is what got so many Republicans elected to the Congress. Those Republicans have since not succeeded so far in repealing Obamacare, and we could talk about why that is. We could talk about whether or not they'll actually get that done. I think what we really should be talking about here is that Democrats are running in 2018 against bonuses, against raises, against money in your pocket in 2018. There are comments throughout this column about how the tax cuts benefit the wealthy, about how there's nothing in there for middle-class Americans, there's nothing in there for small businesses, that a bunch of it goes to big businesses, and some of those businesses are even named. But the bottom line is, the Democrats are running against money in your pocket. You can't wave a magic wand and make people forget about all the bonuses and raises that big and small businesses alike gave to people this year. You can't wave a magic wand and make people forget about the fact that they're going to be keeping more money per paycheck this in the coming year. It's one of the reasons that I really wanted Republicans to make the tax cuts apply to 2017, because people were going to get a huge tax cut if they had made those tax brackets apply to 2017. Most people probably would have seen a doubling of their tax refund. Instead, we had to pay 2017 under 2016 rules, but whatever. The tax cuts got passed. People are keeping more money. That's a good thing. And that's what Democrats in majority are running against in this next election cycle. Don't be fooled. They're running against you having more money, because you having however much more money is just not good enough, apparently. Second story I wanted to talk about. So I can't remember if I said anything about it or not, but if you are a consumer of news, you probably remember the Parkland students going to the state capitol in Florida, I think it was last week, to have a protest. And I didn't know it at the time, but apparently they'd traveled many miles, I think it was over 100 miles, by bus to get to this place. And the question that nobody was asking was, where are the kids getting the money to make this trip? Where are the kids getting the money to have these press conferences, to hold these rallies, to make these travels, to stage these protests? Well, it turns out the Parkland teens, as the headline here from BuzzFeed of all places, are backed by some of the biggest progressive liberal community organizing groups in the country. Some of them are named here. One of them is Bloomberg's Mayors Against Gun Violence, or whatever. Really, it's Mayors Against Guns. I think the legal name for it is Mayors Against Illegal Guns. One of them is the Gabby Giffords-backed organization. Gabby Giffords being the congresswoman who was shot by a insane person while on the campaign trail in 2008. It turns out that there's a lot of big progressive money footing the bill for these kids' activism. And I'm not saying that it delegitimizes their activism, but what I am saying is that it's a very different movement if the kids are backed by big money like this. If these kids were under their own power, with their own funding, doing all these things, that would be supremely impressive. But as it turns out, they're not. As it turns out, they've got the biggest money in politics that the private sector can give behind them. And that's who's footing the bill for their activism. Now, those two things in and of themselves, the Democrats running against the tax bill, not news. The Parkland protesters having big progressive organizers behind them, not news. What I think is news is this from The Hill. The headline is "Scarlet is Red, and that's no lie." And what this column is, I've heard about it in short. I haven't got to read through the whole thing, so let's read it together. The long and the short version of it that I've heard is that this is a column written by a ex-FBI agent, or heavily contributed to by an ex-FBI agent, who's telling you how Robert Mueller can pin people down for lying to the FBI. Recent reporting raised questions about the circumstances surrounding Michael Flynn's guilty plea for making false statements. Apparently, Peter Strzok, the FBI agent who conducted Flynn's January interview, believed Flynn had been truthful. You might remember some of that reporting. I don't think we covered it on this channel, but I do remember hearing about it in the news. In light of this, questions are being asked about the nature of Flynn's guilty plea, whether the special counsel made Flynn aware of Strzok's assessment, and if not, whether he had an ethical, if not legal, obligation to do so. There are two intriguing questions that should be asked and answered first. These questions go to Robert Mueller's nature and whether he can be a fair arbiter. Number one, what accounted for Strzok's and Mueller's vastly different assessments of Flynn's veracity, and what can we expect from Mueller when it comes to judging President Trump's veracity? As a former FBI agent, I believe the answers lie in an examination of the FBI's disciplinary system under Mueller. In fact, this obscure Mueller process may well hold the key to understanding why Flynn's guilty plea may be less of a reflection of Flynn's level of candor than a product of Mueller's aggressive tactics. And if you're a consumer of the news, especially when it comes to the Mueller team and the Russia investigation, you'll know that Mueller has some particularly nasty individuals on his team. Some people that are known for doing some dirty, underhanded, and nasty things in order to elicit cooperation and plea deals out of their targets. And I know I want to skip to the example of that this FBI agent presents to us. Let me see if I can find it. I know what it looks like, and I want to go through it with you. So, excuse me for a moment while I look for this. This might be it. When Agent Smith made a headline-grabbing appearance at a dinner party with a guest list that included an individual connected to the defendant in a major case, a conflict of interest was suggested. A disciplinary case was opened. Now, let's say Mueller wanted the option to dismiss Smith even if the facts of the case did not support dismissal. To make this possible, after an investigation, the centerpiece of which would be Smith's testimony, a proposal would be made by Mueller's surrogate charging Smith with lying. The charge would likely hinge on something as indistinct from each other as the color scarlet and the color red. The charge would would be likely to misrepresent the significance of supporting evidence or admit contradicting evidence or both. Hence, the charge would be worded like this. When asked to describe the vehicle you drove to the dinner party, you said the vehicle's color is red. However, the manufacturer lists the color as scarlet. Since you attended a university whose official color is scarlet, you should have known the difference between scarlet and red. I therefore charge you with lying under oath, and if found to be true, that you be dismissed from the FBI. While defending himself, Smith might request to have someone from the car company explain that scarlet is just a marketing term for red, but this common sense request would be denied. You see, the difference between scarlet and red was not the real issue. The real issue was that the FBI agent who oversaw an investigation into the activities of a regional bank knowingly attended a dinner party with a major shareholder of the same bank. Although nothing inappropriate was discussed and only a minor disciplinary code was violated, the incident made the news. If Mueller concluded that Smith did not understand the gravity of the incident, or if he believed that there was an unrelated basis for dismissal, instead of penalizing Smith with a minor infraction, Mueller's surrogate would make an improper decision that Smith lied about the car's color. I know we read a lot of words. Let me try and simplify it just in case anybody didn't understand. Mueller, through his surrogates, has a tactic for dismissing or putting pressure on people that he wants pressure applied to. The specific example is of an FBI agent who is making Mueller look bad. That's the short version of why Mueller would want this FBI agent dismissed. He's making him look bad. The tactic is this: get somebody in an interview, ask them a battery of questions of all kinds, anything that can be imagined, especially anything where it might be easily interpreted that the interviewee lied to the interviewer. For instance, the color of a car. It could be the time of day that something happened. It could be the color of anything. Something that might be subjectively interpreted differently by two people. As soon as you collect your answers and then go and peruse the market, peruse the internet, peruse anything, look for any detail that could be grabbed a hold of, extracted from the interview, and say, here is a lie. Now we can charge this person with lying under oath. Therefore, we can throw them off the case, or we can apply incredible litigative pressure to this person, like happened with Michael Flynn. It could be interpreted, based on this column from this ex-FBI agent, that maybe Michael Flynn didn't lie about anything pertaining to Russia. It could be that Robert Mueller asked Michael Flynn what color socks he was wearing, and Flynn subjectively got it wrong. But Mueller is using some technicality to squeeze Flynn under the charge of lying to the FBI. It could be that Flynn was wearing white socks, but the company that sells the socks markets the socks as being bleached bone in color. Therefore, Michael Flynn lied about the color of the socks. This is the kind of person that is prosecuting the Russia investigation against Trump. Therefore, two things are true. The first is that no stone will be left unturned. Something will be produced that the left will be able to point to and say, here's something that Trump did wrong, therefore he needs to go. Subjectively, the Republicans will be able to say, this is nothing. This has no bearing whatsoever on Trump's handling of his responsibilities in office. But the left will be able to say, look, here is a crime. It will be a process crime that Trump committed. Therefore, he should be removed from office. The second thing that you can be assured of is that there will be something. Mueller is going to find something. No stone is going to be left unturned. Mueller is going to find something. And the left is going to try and use this to prosecute a case to remove President Trump from office based on a witch hunt, based on dirty, underhanded tactics that are going to be employed by the prosecuting individuals in this case, which would be Robert Mueller and his attack dogs that are working for him. that's going to do it for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that if you did, you'll leave a like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Come back and join us tomorrow. We'll be doing a brand new report covering whatever news topics there are of the day. I'm trying a new title out for this video, and I'm still looking for a title for videos like this. Titles for videos like this, where I do several different stories and kind of mash them into the same video. Let me know if you have any ideas. I'd love to hear from you. Make sure you come back and join us next time. But until then, good night and God bless.